It's the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in.
So a lot of people they they are afraid to get started. Like maybe they have the money and this, that, and the other. A lot of people want to dot every I, cross every T before you get started. But I think we're just at the beginning of the story. I think your first example is a testament to at some point you just got to take action, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got into the property, you purchased a duplex. Your first instinct, you're in a college town, student housing.
Mm-hmm.
You stuck with it for a couple of years, didn't work out as you thought it would. However, at that point, you had a choice. You could have either thrown the towel, said, forget this real estate stuff. But as you mentioned, you took the proceeds and you tried a different strategy. You tried something different. So that's something I don't want people to gloss over because it's very important. You know, it may not always work out with the first property or problems will happen, but it's like there's different ways to go about it. There's different types of real estate you can get into.
Yeah, and the good thing is like that's the kind of mistake. So if I want to make a mistake in something, I'd rather do it soon and learn, and it's a cheaper mistake than that could have turned really badly if it was like a quadplex or if I just jumped into getting like a huge multifamily. But because it was a smaller scale investment, even selling wasn't a hard decision to make because
Hmm.
over the 3 years I've seen everything. I did, it helped cover some bills for me, so it wasn't completely bad. It's like, oh, I made whatever I wanted to make out of this. I've moved now, and at the time I was already living in DC, so I was managing myself remotely, which I learned not to do anymore. But on weekends, I would drive 5 hours, go down there, like, oh, see what's going on. So it was taking a toll on me. Decided to buy closer to home. And Maryland has some great cities. It appreciates fast. I was like, you know what? Let me, instead of blowing up the the money, the profit, let me use that as the down payment on something else.
Very smart. So can you talk about that second property? So at that point, you had moved down
Yes.
to that area and you purchased over there.
So I did FHA, which required me to live in the home for a year. So it was great because, the down payment was low. And so I bought the property in Maryland, stayed there. And while I was living there, I was making some I wouldn't call renovation, additions. So it was a single family home with a partially finished basement. And around here, a lot of basements actually have an exit, a full walkout exit. So first instinct was, wait a minute, somebody could literally live down there. um so I met a good handyman. We talked about it. I made sure it was legal, things like that. So we built up a kitchenette in the basement, and it was pretty spacious. It wasn't anything tight. It was about 1,500 square. It was a spacious space. It was already set up to have a bedroom, even though there wasn't like a wall. So we put a wall. We did a kitchenette, fixed up the walkout so it's properly lit. So coming from the front of the house, there's like a walkway to the backyard and then steps to go into the basement. So it was functional. And then I started putting that up for rent for $1,000 a month, everything included, like all the utilities, because nobody's gonna be paying their own bill. Everything is attached to the house.
Hmm.
So for $1,000, you get furnished, and it was furnished. You get furnished basement space. You have your privacy because you have your own entrance and exit. The door leading to the main house was locked all the time, so I wasn't going in. They weren't coming up. I was living upstairs, and just like that, it started. And then I was like, wait a minute, I can do this for all the rooms because it's just myself. At the time, it was just myself. My son was going back and forth between myself and his dad. So I was like, what am I doing with all those rooms? So I started renting out rooms of the house. I only left one room vacant for my son, and then rented out two rooms plus the basement. So my mortgage was fully paid for at that point, fully paid for. And one thing, it was hard for me because a lot of people from the outside just saw like, okay, are you? So you're a woman, you have all these roommates. Are you not afraid something is gonna happen to you? Like, how do you even find those people? But I was running background check. I was using Zillow rental. They have like a platform. People can submit applications. So I was using that as a system to run background checks, make sure they pay a deposit, everything goes through there. So it was working. It was just the safety part. At some point, I was like, you know what, maybe this is not quite what I want to do long term. But I did it for 2 years, no issues. My mortgage again was paid for. I saved a lot of money because $2,500 that was supposed to come out of my paycheck to cover my mortgage was now mine.
Mm.
Um, so I had a lot of money just saved up. That's how I scaled so quickly, is because I was able to do those little things, those hacks, that helped me save aggressively and then put my savings towards another home. So I was buying, like, even my lender was like, wait, this is crazy. I was like, I know. I was like, wow. So a lot of times just being creative. I call it creative with what you have. I had a house. I saw potential in the basement, legal potential, transformed that, made it into a separate unit, rented out my rooms because I'm not sleeping in all the four bedrooms. I'm only occupying one. And the good thing is my house was located near a military base. So it was a lot of military contractors or families coming in and out. Sometimes they only have an assignment for like a week or a month. So they were just looking for something nearby. And I had my little ad, 500 a month, just the room. And so it was kind of cute. And a lot of them just liked the not have to worry about furniture because everything was furnished. So they would just come in with a backpack. At the end of the month, they're gone.
Got
Uh,
it. That
yeah.
got it. I think that's really awesome, and the reason is because you came, right. You came, and it's a single family home. Most people was like, oh, this is great. I got my home, got my 4 bedrooms, I got my basement. But it
Mhm.
seemed like very quickly you're like, wait a minute, I could fix this up somehow down there and rent
Mhm.
that out. And then it was like, wait another minute, let me try to rent the rooms out. And obviously there's comfort level, all those things come into play. But the point being, you saw it as more than a single family home,
Yes.
and you built it into streams of income that
Yeah.
covered your mortgage. And so I think that is a key point because you thought outside of the box. You saw it for more than what was in front of you.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see the glamorous part of, like, oh, I mean, maybe some people on the outside was like, wow, she bought a house, the house looks nice. I did love my house, but for me, it was another means to get somewhere else. Like, I was living there, I knew I had to do my 1 year, might as well make it count. I did that. I even stayed 2 years because it was working well for me. And it's like, okay, I'm not gonna go somewhere pay rent where I'm living for free in my own home. And then after that, I wanted to switch school districts for my son, so we moved away. And then I ended up renting the whole house to a family. But the 2 years that I house hacked for, I mean, that set me way ahead.
Definitely. So you also mentioned you hooked up with a handyman who helped you kind of make some of the repairs and renovations. What was that like? Just managing that at that point.
Um, what it was, so whenever he came over, I always got two people. I always got quotes from two people. So I had a first handyman come give me a quote, give me his opinion. Because again, as a woman, you think something and you just always want some kind of validation. So he was like, "Oh yeah, a lot of people do that around here. It's actually pretty common." So he gave me a quote. And then when the second guy gave me a quote, I thought was more attractive. He even had more ideas, like, oh, we'll put a wall here, we can even do this side as a den, just so he brought more that made me go with him and build like a longer term relationship. Even till today, like, he still does work for me, outside of the DMV. Like, I fly him out to fix some of my work because I trust him that much. But yeah, initially it was a little scary because you don't know who they are. And handyman slash contractors have a very bad reputation in the real estate community. So it's always hard to find someone who's trustworthy. But I'm very fortunate that this guy was a gem in the mud.
Definitely. Definitely. Hi, everyone. Sam here from the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Make sure to hit that notification bell and that subscribe button and to visit us at blackrealestatedialogue.com.